What is up, everybody? My name is Hyken, and this is the Fantech HELIOS Go XD5. Really quick before we get started, I do need to say that Fantech did send this out for review, however my opinion on it is going to be 100% honest. Alright, so this mouse is heavily inspired by the Microsoft IntelliMouse and its ergonomic, comfortable design. Fantech is targeting people like myself with medium to small hands with this mouse release. A lot of other ergonomic mice are tailored to people with big hands, so it's really nice to see an ergonomic mouse that I could actually get a comfortable grip on. The mouse will retail for about $50 and weighs about 72 grams, which is a pretty respectable weight for a wireless mouse in this price category. In the box, you get the mouse, a USB-C to USB Type-A charging cable, the wireless receiver, grips, an extra set of white PTFE feet, and a manual. The cover of the mouse pops off, which reveals a slot to hold the wireless receiver. This is always a welcome feature. The extra set of feet is also a very nice inclusion. Also, if you're enjoying the video or find it helpful, I would really appreciate it if you could drop a like and subscribe, and consider turning on that notification bell as well. I also stream every Tuesday and Thursday right here on my YouTube channel. I unbox mice and keyboards. I also suck at Apex Legends. It's a good time, so make sure to drop by. The mouse features a 2.4 GHz wireless connection and a Pixart 3370 sensor, which is really awesome to see in a mouse of this price point. I have loved using the 3370 in the past in other mice, and this one performs just as well and at a lower price point. Tracking was super smooth, flick shots were precise as well, I had zero hiccuping and stuttering. This mouse performs on par with pretty much any wired or wireless mouse you throw at it. The sensor has a polling rate up to 1000 Hz as well. Mouse balance is pretty good overall, but does feel a tiny bit back heavy due to the internal battery and the weight distribution. Now, I am a really big fan of this shape. As I mentioned earlier, it takes a lot of inspiration from the Microsoft IntelliMouse lineup. Measurements will be up on the screen for you right now. The back right side flares out, and the left side by the thumb buttons flares in, which gives you a really nice palm, claw, and fingertip grip. Ergo mice generally tend to favor grips where your palm is in contact with the gradual slope on the back of the mouse, and that's definitely true here, but because of the overall small size of the mouse, you're able to get a really good fingertip grip on this mouse too. Palm grip felt really good, although I did have some overhang with my fingertips in the front, but it really didn't bother me. Tense claw also felt really good due to the way the front of the mouse slopes down. Relaxed claw felt pretty good too, but I did prefer tense claw more. I'm genuinely impressed with how well this mouse handled all grip styles. Normally you don't see that from an ergonomic mouse. Normally fingertip grip is just straight up inoperable, but the small size of this mouse really gives it a great advantage over those bigger ergonomic shapes. This is a great blend of comfort and performance. I'm a big fan. Left and right mouse buttons are Kale GM 8.0s, and boy do they feel clicky and crispy in this mouse. The sound profile on these switches always sounds good, but they especially sound good on this mouse. Don't worry, I'll get you your sound test in a second. The left click has a bit more pre-travel than I'd like to see, but it's pretty good post-travel wise. The right click is just about perfect, however. There's basically zero pre and post-travel here. Side buttons are very pronounced, you never really need to go looking for them, and they're well positioned. There's very little pre and post travel in them unless you're right in the middle between the buttons. There's a bit in that spot. The scroll wheel click is really nice and tactile here, and the steps on the scroll wheel itself also feel really defined. Alright, enough talking, here's that sound test. Build quality here is pretty good overall. There's no internal rattle when you shake it around, and bending and creaking is fairly minimal, basically non-existent during regular use. I'm not a huge fan of the coating here. It feels a little slick and is already starting to show finger oil. I don't think it'll be too bad, but it's definitely something to be aware of. The mouse feels sturdy overall though, like it could handle long gaming sessions without breaking a sweat. On the bottom of the mouse, we have an on-off switch and a button that will cycle you through all the RGB lighting effects, or you could just do that in the software. We'll talk about that later. Now, these PTFE feet were definitely a great inclusion. They're much better than traditional Teflon feet. However, there's one problem with them, and that's that they don't have rounded edges. These straight edges just tend to introduce more friction than what's really necessary on the mouse and gives you a little bit less of a smoother glide. The glide is pretty decent overall. It's not bad by any means, but I'm hoping that Fantech will refine this process just a little bit more and give us the rounded edges, because it really does make a pretty big difference. This mouse is compatible with Microsoft IntelliMouse feet, so if you can find a set of aftermarket skates that fit that mouse, they'll fit this mouse too. For a $50 mouse, this really is quite a good glide. There is a little bit of a break-in period, but once you get through the first couple of hours, it's a pretty decent glide. I'm just saying that with this small change of rounding the edges, it can make a really big difference. The mouse features an internal rechargeable battery via USB Type-C. The USB Type-C port, however, is recessed a little bit back into the mouse, so you could theoretically use any USB Type-C cable, but you'll probably be stuck using just the one that came out of the box because of that recessed port. That's not really an issue with the mouse at all, just something to keep in mind. According to the box, you should be able to get about 40 hours out of this battery. You might get even more if you use the turn off when moving feature for the RGB that, well, turns the RGB off when the mouse is moving. It turns back on when the mouse stops. I think this is a really cool feature since you're probably not looking at the RGB anyways when you're looking at your screen while you're gaming, so it's kind of a cool feature to help you extend that battery life a little bit longer. This feature is enabled by default, however you can just turn it off in the software if you don't like it. In the software you have access to 4 profiles and can fully customize each of the buttons on this mouse. You can adjust parameters like debounce time, DPI stages, polling rate, and liftoff distance. There's also a macro system if that's your thing. You can also adjust the RGB, but there aren't really any ways to create custom lighting effects. You can just change the color on some of the effects. I would love to see some custom lighting effect options and a battery status indicator in the next software update. So, would I recommend this mouse? For $50, yeah, I absolutely would. You get an ergonomic shape that's compatible with pretty much any grip style, classy RGB, a top-of-the-line wireless sensor, great battery life, really good left and right mouse buttons. There's really a whole lot going for this mouse. Really, my biggest complaint was the feet, and that's a $10 fix if you buy some aftermarket skates for this thing. For a $50 mouse, this thing kinda nails it. Go check it out, there's a link down in the description below. Alright everybody, that's gonna go ahead and do it for me today. Thank you very much for watching. Remember to hit that like button and that subscribe button on your way out, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.